I'm finding it a bit difficult. So can someone help me? Right. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Give me 2 minutes. I'll share from here. Give me 2 minutes. Okay,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah. Kindly do that. That will be so nice. So thank you, Dr. Pavitra. Yes, this is. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay.
Kindly go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. So this is the outline. Next slide, please. So on what context I thought to speak on this. So although there is no requirement of theory very much in this presentation, but somehow I thought let me bring something into it. So how is the self-respect, dignity, recognition, confidence of a human being based on its region, based on its regional identity is decided? So that depends on various other things. For example, societal recognition and respectful treatment are vital for collective confidence and self-respect, because individual identities are shaped by interaction with others. So our confidence, our recognition, our treatment that depends on how others are treating us. And when a society recognizes and value its members' worth, it fosters a sense of dignity and integrity within those individuals. And when the society is treating us better, it develops a sense of confidence, it develops a sense of dignity among the individuals. And a society that provides positive recognition and treatment to its members help to build their self-esteem and confidence and political recognition. So this is broadly the idea on which I want to speak on. So how we as Odia and Odisha treated within Odisha and outside Odisha. That has strong dependence on how confident we are, how dignified we are, or that depends and that decides our self-respect within Odisha and outside Odisha. Next slide. So recognition, importance, and treatments given to an individual, society, or a region decides the confidence, dignity, and self-respect of the above entities. And it is interesting to see the recognition, importance, and treatment given to Odisha and Odias at the national level and also at the state level in terms of economics, politics, culture, administration, and infrastructure. So it was very difficult for me to suggest a title that is very elaborate and detailed, because I am not going to speak on a particular topic, although my background is economics, but certainly I will touch upon economics, but also I'll also touch upon economics, politics, culture, administration, and various other issues that Odisha is facing and Odia identity is facing as a whole. And therefore, how, where are the confidence, dignity, and respect of Odisha and Odias, where are set? So how we were treated, how we are treated, both within Odisha and outside Odisha, that has its impact on how confident we will be, how dignified we will be, what will be the kind of our self-respect that depends on this. So this is the broad idea on which I want to speak. Next slide, please. And what is the basis of my arguments and claims that I'm going to make in next 20-25 minutes? And it is usually what happens in usual research. We take a topic, we consult various literature, we go to the field, we collect data, we find out some models, and then analyze and write the paper. The presentation is not certainly based on that kind of efforts, but certainly it has been primarily based on reading Odia dailies since my childhood. Although I don't exactly remember from which year I started reading that, but if I may better recall, it may be after 10 years. So reading Odia dailies, observations, discussion, and analysis for the last 35 years. So it is not something that I'm going to speak for the idea that I have developed for the last few months or few years only. So the ideas that I'm going to speak before you has been developed or germinated before 35 years. And I really thank my father in a village. It was the only newspaper that Samaj was subscribing Samaj. And I have been very much exposed to that newspaper, and that has shaped and influenced my career to a large extent, my observations, my ideas to a large extent, and that continued. The connection with the Odia dailies continued till the time, until present. And when I was a student in JNU, I really thank the library where we used to get the same newspaper, although 4 days later or 5 days later, but at least we were connected with Odisha and its various development. So since then, I started analyzing what are the things happening in Odisha, why it is happening, and all those things, and which I am trying to give a particular framework on this. So it is based on that. So Odisha and Odia identity before this decade, before 10 or 11 years, what was the Odia identity? How were we treated? That I strongly feel, and maybe same with you. That is Odia identity and its languages, whether it is Odia, whether it is Kosli, Sambalpuri, including tribal languages, does not go well, surprisingly, within Odisha itself. The language of Odisha, the language that is spoken within Odisha, it may be Kosli, it may be Sambalpuri, it may be various forms of tribal languages, that does not go well with some section of the people within Odisha. And more pronounced in the border districts. I belong to Sambalpur district, sharing border, very close to the Jharkhand border, very close to the Chhattisgarh border. And I have closely seen the cities like Rourkela, Jharsuguda, Sundargarh. So there I found that Odia identity, Odia language is not very well recognized and respected as well. So the Odisha and Odia identity is treated lesser and inferior in that I have observed. So in Rourkela, it is very difficult to speak in Odia. So you have to speak in Hindi most of the time, where I studied 5 years, my +2 and graduation. So when the situation is such within Odisha, it is not expected to be better outside. So if the situation is such that we can't very much be respected because of our Odia identity, it is very difficult to expect that it will be better outside Odisha. So particularly when I leave Odisha and came to Delhi, then I was as a student in JNU. So let me give you 2 examples. In the hostel I was staying, there was a boy from a particular state who used to say that ओडिया लोग चावल खा के पेट बड़ा करके घूमते रहते हैं. This was the remark that he made. And in JNU itself, Odia students, it does not go well with the people because of its particular ideology. Because Odia लोग तो बहुत पूजा करते रहते हैं, बहुत religious होते हैं, बहुत सरस्वती पूजा करते हैं, गणेश पूजा करते हैं. We used to do, even today. So that does not go well with the students, the majority of the students in Odisha, in JNU, because of its particular ideology that JNU was known for, and maybe it is known for. So such a treatment meted out to people bearing a particular identity, regional in this sense, has strong influence on their confidence and self-respect. And it was so strong in certain cases that students feel not to speak in Odia, even with the fellow Odia student, or do not wish to identify with their Odia identity. I have also come across students who feel very reluctant, hesitant to be identified as I am Odisha, and then they won't be speaking in Odia, and very often there are many. And this, however, is not the case with people or students of other regional identities, neighboring to our states including. Although they speak in their own language, they are proud to be identified with their own identity, own regional identity in this case. Next, please. So the impression of Odisha and Odia people at the national level invariably created as poor state, poor people, backwardness, underdevelopment, idle, unprofessional, and various other discouraging nomenclatures that we very often found कि ओडिया लोग तो गरीब हैं, गरीब राज्य है, ऐसे हैं, वैसे हैं. That kind of attitude they used to say. They usually have, even in the national level. So there were three news that Odisha was prominent in known at the national level. One was Kalahandi, the poverty situation of Kalahandi, the child selling and all that. Second was Rath Yatra. And third was the missile testing from the Wheeler Island. Now it is APJ Abdul Kalam Island from Baleshwar. So those were the three prominent areas in which Odisha will be there in the national news. In this context, the following points will be discussed. So now I will be discussing few points given this background, particularly to highlight how Odisha and Odia identity was treated. In 5 or 7 points, I would like to discuss, and then I will come to how it is in the last decade, how it has changed. So before a decade, the Odia dailies were widely found publishing the dire neglect and discrimination to Odisha at the national level by various governments. So there is discrimination and neglect by various central governments towards Odisha. And it was quite normal to read in the Odia dailies, Odisha prati kendrara bhaimatruka monobhava. Odisha prati kendrara avahela. It was quite usual, quite normal to read. And one of profound areas of neglect was obviously in terms of resource sharing and financial assistance. And if I can really recall correctly, you may correct me, when few of our MPs went to meet one of the former prime minister, he used to tell them, money does not grow on trees. I hope you recall that. And they were Odia MPs. Okay. Next. So this was one incident that I have highlighted. Next, please. Then, after every real budget, we searched for the number of trains and budget allocated for construction of railway line. And even if we find one, it gives us a sense of satisfaction. So after earlier it was rail budget and then proper budget. So after the rail budget, we really look at the newspaper, okay, how many trains have been allocated to Odisha, what is the budget allocated for the construction of new railway lines in Odisha. And even if we get at least one train will be running from this place to this place, then it was a sense of satisfaction for all of us. And the same was the situation when various other physical infrastructures were developed. For example, roads, airports, there was only one airport, Bhubaneswar Airport, ports, it was only Paradip. And similarly, the physical infrastructure, the case of physical infrastructure was disregarded widely. Yeah, next please. Okay. Not only the people or the state was neglected, but also the leaders. One example. One of the former chief ministers of a particular political party very often visits Delhi to meet the party head. But the party head of that political party rarely gets time to meet the former chief minister from Odisha. So the Odia dailies will publish Omako Babu, I'm not mentioning the name deliberately. Omako Babu, Delhi re High Command ku dekha kareba pai dera pakaichhanti. Dera pakaichhanti. Ao High Command ko pakare samaya nahi tanku dekha kareba pai some sort of things. And very often he can't meet and return back to Bhubaneswar. So the Odia dailies will publish say High Command ku no bhetiki Bhubaneswar feri asile. This was the situation of the leaders, not only the people. Okay, next please. Next slide. Now, ministerial, yeah, previous one. Yeah, this one. Then let's discuss about the ministerial portfolios distributed, allocated. So the best of the ministerial portfolios that the leaders of Odisha settled down earlier was like the iron and steel was the best ministry that any Odia leader will get it. Iron and steel and mines and minerals. Those were the portfolios they used to get before this decade. So the number of ministers from Odisha were very small and usually given low profiles ministries like Minister of State. And rarely cabinet ministers of high profile. And there was a particular pattern of allocation of portfolios in the earlier regimes. For example, railway has to go to the MPs from West Bengal or Bihar. Railway re kiye mantri hobo? Na so Bihar ra hotuba dorkar ya phir West Bengal ro. Similarly, who will become the minister for oil and refinery? Say he or she has to be from Mumbai, from Maharashtra. So that there was a particular pattern. And who will become the iron and steel minister has to be from Odisha. So this was the particular pattern, the way the ministerial portfolios were distributed. And this was perhaps the reason why Odisha does not fare good in terms of various infrastructure, for example, railways, as compared to its neighbors like Bihar and West Bengal are connected. So if you look at Bihar and West Bengal, the railway network is really vastly well developed. And that is grossly neglected in Odisha. And the same pattern was reflected so far as officers and administrators at the higher positions in various ministries or departments occupied by Odias. In various institutions, administrative positions, you won't find many Odia people. So when we came to Delhi, when the students used to celebrate the Odisha Divas, Utkal Divas, they struggled really to find the guest. And at that time, two popular Odia I knew. One was Ranganath Mishra and other was Jatin Das. So those were the two prominent Odia they were residing in Odisha. And then came, I think it was Arup Patnaik. Arup Patnaik's name was big popular. He was a big police officer in Mumbai and somehow, and I do not remember any big names at the national level. And that was really a challenging task for the Odia people to find the guest for some Odia event to be celebrated outside Odisha. Next, please. Next. Okay. So Odisha, then looking at the establishment of various institutes, universities, prominent national level institutions, there were few or none, but everything was there in our neighboring state. There was one Central University, IIM, Indian Statistical Institute, IIT, everything was there. But Odisha, there was hardly any prominent national level institutions. Very recently, we got certain, and very recently, we got the IISER, ISER at Berhampur, and IIM in Sambalpur. But those institutions were very much there in our neighboring. Everything, every institutions of national importance were there. And particularly in the case of ISER, I remember ISER was originally allocated in 3 places. One was Pune, second was Mohali, and third was Bhubaneswar. But the Bhubaneswar ISER was shifted to Kolkata. And later on, Odisha was just satisfied with an ISER. Smaller institutions, smaller than ISER. And the same happened with IIT Kharagpur that was earlier proposed in Baleswar that went to Kharagpur. So this is how Odisha was treated in terms of establishment of the bigger institutions. And for various events, various institutions, if you look at the eastern region, it was not certainly Odisha, it was certainly Kolkata or some bigger states of bigger cities of the other states. Okay, next please. Okay, so that was all what I observed and tried to bring before you how Odisha was treated in terms of its politics, its economics, its infrastructure, various institutions. Now, Odisha and Odia identity in the last decade, the last 10 and 11 years. And what I discussed just before was before that time period. So the above situations, however, have got drastically reversed in the last decade. So what are the changes? Few points I would like to bring before you. So in the last 10 or 11 years, I do not remember mentioning such thing like the discrimination or ignorance in terms of resource allocation or financial assistance. And those sentences like, those headlines like Odisha Prati Kendra Mantruko Monobhav or Odisha Prati Kendra Obahela, those headlines I have not come across. That is one change that I could strongly see. Second, next slide, please. Next. Is there any problem with this? Dr. Pavitra? Okay, let me go ahead. Yeah. Is it visible to you?
Yes, visible.
Yes.
Okay, let me manage.
Point number 6. Yeah.
So the second one is Odisha is fairly doing well in terms of railway development, both in terms of construction of new lines and allocation of number of trains. So that situation had changed. That a single train, the discrimination in the allocation of development of railway lines. So that situation has changed. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So, and the physical infrastructure is impressively developed in not only in Odisha but across India. Is not being neglected anymore. So Odisha is certainly not being neglected in terms of development of physical infrastructure. So why I'm saying this? Because see, single railway lines becoming double becoming triple, electrification of tracks is moving very fast, one lane road becoming double and double becoming quadruple. Many airports are coming, ports are being developed. So now Dhamra is being developed, Gopalpur is developed. So it is not only Bhubaneswar and it is not only Paradip. Many airports are coming. Jharsuguda has been operating the standard flights from the major cities of India and Odisha. Next. The head of the state, it really gives a tremendous sense of satisfaction that the head of the state, the president of India, is from Odisha. And it is nothing less than a dream come true, especially for me. I really thought that someday, can the head of the state, whether he or she is the president or the prime minister, will be from Odisha, and that time has come. And it is certainly a great historic moment for all of us. So let me share one small experience when I was working in TIS Guwahati. In a restaurant, I was working with a boy, and he was originally from Nagaland, a tribal boy from Nagaland. So he came to know that I am from Odisha, and then he से बहुत खुशी से कहला कि आपका जो प्रेसिडेंट है आपका स्टेट से है, and how he connected with her. He connected with her as he belongs to the tribal community. So आपका प्रेसिडेंट जो है वो हमारा आदिवासी है. And the smile, the happiness that I could see is clearly, I still remember it very much. Next, please. Fourth. So far as the allocation of ministry is concerned, I discussed the allocation of ministry before 10 years. Let's discuss this one. How is the ministries are allocated? And it was never before. Leaders from Odisha allocated 3 and 4 ministries, including, so that the old trend that leader of Odisha will be given iron and steel and mines and minerals, that has gone. So they are being allocated oil and petroleum, very important ministry, education and railway, very important portfolios, cabinet ministries. And they are not given just one portfolio, but very often they are given multiple portfolios. And it was also surprising to notice in this particular context that it happened in a state where the state government was led by a party different from the center. The party at the center and at state was different. But despite that, there were a good number of ministries having good number of portfolios, important portfolios at the center. And despite there were just only 8 MPs from Odisha, and there were 3 ministers. So 8 MPs and 3 ministers. So this is how I can see the change in the last decade. Then the Odia people occupying important positions. So the same scenario is reflected in terms of Odia officers and administrators occupying important positions at the various ministries, departments, and institutions. The head of the state, the head of the RBI was CAG, NCPCR, Mausam Bhavan, and many other national level institutions. They were occupied by Odia people. The personal secretary of the prime minister, both of them are from Odisha. Both of them, not just one. It reminds me of a humorous message that once I saw, you may have seen, it was quite viral, whether India is governed by people from Gujarat or by the people from Odisha. That was a message I really saw once. A message showing that who is governing Odisha? Who is governing India? Whether the Prime Minister and the Home Minister belonging to Gujarat, or whether it is in fact the people from Odisha. In a humorous sense, I wanted to bring it before you. And next, please. And now you see, very recently I could see one important development, that allocation of 2 chip making plants out of 4. 2 chip making plants out of 4 will be allocated in Bhubaneswar, in Odisha. So 4 chip making plants, half of them are going to one single state. I can understand even if one is going to Odisha, but now 2 are going to Odisha and 2 are going to rest of the states. And it is certainly not a small thing. Certainly not a small thing. Chip making plants are very important, very crucial nowadays. And half of them out of 4 are going to Odisha is certainly not a small thing. Yes, next please. Then a very important, the number of Padma awardees has been increased significantly. Here is a picture that I got yesterday from the Ministry of Home Affairs. You can see the number of, hope you can see it. The number of Padma awardees. This is for particular state of Odisha. So before 2010, and then you can see after that, how is the graph behaving? Significantly, it has increased. The number of Padma awardees has been significantly, it has increased. So earlier, even if we get one Odia people getting Padma award, so it was sufficient for us. So at least one is there. But now there are many numbers. Many are getting it across Odisha. All the people involved with the song Rangavati, they have all given Padma awards. Jitendra Haripal, Krishna Patel, and Mitravano Gauntia. All are given. All the people, those who many important people involved in making this Sambalpuri sari, they are given. Haldar Nag is given. So across Odisha, people, many number of people are being given Padma awards, and that is clearly distinct, clearly visible in this graph. Next, please. And you all have observed during this G20 meeting, Konark and its wheel are being showcased as a symbol of progress of India before the G20 delegates. Now, Konark and its wheel has become a symbol of progress. And how was Odisha projected earlier? A symbol of backwardness, a symbol of poverty, idle, unprofessional, whole lot of discouraging negative nomenclatures. It is no more now. Konark and its wheel is a symbol of progress. Odisha Parva is celebrated at the India Gate. Nuakhai is celebrated at a big scale in Delhi. And it has created a new sense of confidence among the Odia people. So the lower level of confidence, the lower level of self-esteem that the Odia used to have earlier is no more the situation, is no more the case now. So the image of Odisha at the national level has changed. They are now better known as hardworking, honest, sensitive, truthful, religious, spiritual, and whole lot of positive nomenclatures. A drastic change from the previous to the present. From the previous negativities, and now it is positivity. Now, they are, and therefore, it has its impact on the confidence, self-esteem, and self-respect of the Odia people. Now, they are less hesitant to identify with their Odia identity. And in fact, they are very proud of it. They're very proud of it. ସେଦିନ ମୋ କଥା ହବ ମୋ ପୁଅ କହୁଥିଲା ଯଦି ମୋତେ କିଛି ଏମିତି ଅପରଚ୍ୟୁନିଟି ଆସିବ ମୁଁ ଏମିତି କହିବି ଯେ ମୋ ଷ୍ଟେଟ୍ ସବୁଠୁ ଭଲ. The kind of confidence I have sensed. Next, please. So that was basically the comparison before this decade and after that. Now, last few 2 or 3 slides, why does it matter for Odisha? One, it definitely matters not only for Odisha, but also for the nation as a whole, when good number of good people, honest people, hardworking people, religious people, spiritual people, progressive people are there in the system. Second, it benefits the state that was long neglected. So it's a historical the injustice that happened that is being corrected now. And third, it inspires many. It inspires the students, the people from Odisha, and their dignity and their identity. So a new level of confidence, a new level of dignity. Next slide, please. Last, I will just end with 2 cautionary notes. One, despite the ever positive ending, this is not the end, and in fact the beginning. And we may not have to be complacent for this. There are so many issues to be resolved. There are so many challenges that we have to correct, and we have to be prepared for it. Next one. Next slide, please. And the last point is that I'll start with what Madhusudan Das in the Utkal Sammilani said, Odiya kiye. So he said, everyone born in this land, in the land of Odisha, irrespective of caste, color, region, religion, sex, race, they're all Odiya. But what I notice, and I feel bad to notice that some perhaps consider as more Odiya than the others, and therefore seeks to have a larger share of its resources and benefits at the cost of the others who are equally Odiya. So since we all are Odiya, all should be treated equally. And such tendency, however, causes a problem of regional disparity. The problem that is quite visible. And the challenge of regional disparity is certainly not good for Odisha and its identity. And it requires immediate and urgent attention. So, and just to show you the problem of regional disparity, in the next slide, please. And that is the last slide. So if you can see a clear picture of regional disparities, some regions are more developed, some are at the mid-level, and some are really lagging behind. This we need to resolve. So that is the end of my presentation. And this shows the Human Development Index, district-wise Human Development Index. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. Now we can open for this question, answer, anything. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your nice presentation, and you have very briefly talked about how Odisha is perceived before 20 years and 25 years back, and how now that Odisha is doing in national level, and what is the future of Odisha ahead. Now I open the floor for question answer. Anybody has any question, they can directly switch on their audio and they can ask to our distinguished professor. They can switch on their video and they can speak. There is one question in chat box. Your PPT is good reflection of facts, feeling and future path. Thank you. Given by Shibo Hota.
Yeah.
Okay. Sir, I think people will take some time to reflect and they will ask questions. Meanwhile, I have some doubts if you can clear.
Yes.
Sir, Odisha has been actually demanding for special status if, for a last 20, I hope for last 20-25 years, because Odisha is frequently facing the natural disaster. Every year we face like natural disaster like tsunami, and every year there is like cyclone and natural calamity. So, sir, what is your take that whether future that Odisha is going to give him the special status or any type of special package that Odisha should give him to make like his like position good, like other state are receiving, like some northeast state, Jammu Kashmir and other states. So, sir, what is your take on this?
Yeah, I certainly remember that Odisha was trying to get the special status once, and they were continuously trying for it. But for last many years, I don't see that kind of demand coming from Odisha. So when it was, and now I don't very much see it is feasible, because as you also mentioned, in this case, Odisha is doing very well in terms of its public finance and its fiscal, all those things. So Odisha is the only state that is having the surplus, in terms of instead of having deficit.
Yeah.
So the resource problem that Odisha once was facing, that is no more there. So I don't think that Odisha now is in a good position to raise that demand. And second thing is that now Odisha is no more neglected. Certainly, I really strongly feel. So when it is neglected and it is not having certain adequate number of infrastructure or some certain things. So Odisha is doing fairly well in terms of infrastructure, in terms of human development indicators. So the question of special status, I don't see now.
Sir, I have a small question.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, Shiva sir, you can switch on your video and can speak, sir.
Sir, I have a small query. Sir, recently, as you told rightly, that we have been proven as a state who can manage its finance very well with limited resources by optimizing various methods and tools. That's a very positive thing. Similarly, we are the state who opened its steel plants to supply oxygen during COVID. Same is our leadership in NDRF, National Disaster. Like that, there are many areas which are relevant and current, in which we have proven our skills and our leadership. But is there anything where the success story of Odisha leadership in various sectors can be formalized and documented? Is there any forum or that area we should explore ourselves, and the narrative of success stories of Odisha in terms of leadership in every sense, industry, skill development, education, politics, and so on and so forth? Can we start this narrative afresh, or is there any forum or initiated already at your end? Thank you.
No, I certainly don't remember any, but certainly this is required. The message has to come from every section. And once I was talking to my former teacher when I was a student in JNU, he visited, and then I asked what are the problems going on, what is the situation in Odisha and why it is like this. So he said it is the lack of leadership. So I also asked him, leadership has to come from, it is not only political leadership, leadership has to be from the academic leadership as well. So are the intellectuals of Odisha doing sufficiently contributing, highlighting the issues, and spreading the awareness? That I don't see much. And there we certainly need to do good works, so that certain things need to be highlighted. That is the thing that we can do best.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
But no idea about any particular forum where this thing is being done. Maybe someone else can better reflect on that.
Yes, sir. If somebody has some knowledge, some institution is documenting, they can apprise us. But I don't think that some institution is there who is documenting all these things. But there's a lot of like think tank is that Odisha forum, something like that. They have started doing like dialogue. but they have not documented, as my knowledge goes. That is there. And there is one, I don't know whether it's question or not, from Jayant Behra. Thank you so much, sir. You have beautifully explained how Odisha was often neglected in the past, but many of now the time has been changed. As a result, the state lagged behind in education, and however, the recent year Odisha has started gaining the reconnaissance. From Kavi Satpati, good evening, sir. Now Raulkela situation is little bit changed. Now Odia language culture is prominent in this part, and the students are also speaking in Odia and feeling proud of being Odia. So this is a good sign. So in Raulkela, since Raulkela, a lot of non-Odias are staying, and now they have started speaking. Sarveswar Padhan, sir, a thought-provoking lecture by Dr. Ramya Ranjan Patel. Congratulations. Professor Satyanarayan Acharya, good evening, sir. What will be the future of Odia language? This is a very good question. He is concerned about what is the future of Odia language. If you can throw some light, it will be very helpful for the people. Helpful for the intellectual who are today.
The best thing I can say in this regard is that there are two things actually. And referring to our former professor from the Center for Education, Zakir Hussain Center for Education, Ajit Mohanty, you may be familiar with this name, a retired professor.
Yes.
I was listening to him, and he said, English is a killer language. English is a killer language. And English is no more, that is the broad threat that we have to all our languages, including Odia. So English is no more a language. English has become a skill nowadays. So I'm saying English has become a skill and no more a language, because English can give you jobs. English can give you service jobs. So there are obvious threats from such languages. But at the same time, efforts must be made. And I see there are many schools, Odia medium schools. They are being, in Raulkela itself, I know there are some schools where there are no students or they are going to be closed. But at the same time, some efforts are also being made to promote our language. And that kind of sense are being tried to develop among the students. So I have hope, but certainly there are threats from other languages, particularly English. And it depends on us how we are making our children aware about this language. So for example, I can tell you from my own experience, when I settled in Delhi and my son was about to go to school, so my father came to know कि वो माने नाती आओ ओडिया पढ़िबनी. So it was a big shock for him कि नाती ओडिया पढ़िबनी, because in Delhi there is no scope for it. And that I realized that what exactly he is saying. So I thought to buy one, and his mother also thought to buy one Varna both. So we have a Varna both, and he reads. He could read Odia. He had also started writing, but not very fluent. But he can read Odia. So that kind of sense that it is our responsibility, even if we are in Delhi, they are going to English medium school. So. And then one good thing I could see during this Odisha Parva Divas. So so many things, many cultural events from the far-flung areas, Chau Nacho, Goda Nacho, everything is there in that event. So the Odia student, even if they are not going to Odisha, they can know about all those things and they can take pride in all that. So this is how we can, it is not language per se, but this Odisha, the spirit of Odisha nationality in the Odia identity needs to be preserved, and a lot depends on us. Yeah, thank you for this question.
So there is a question in chat box from Tapan Kumar Barik sir. ଆପଣଙ୍କ ଉପଅଂଶରେ କହିଲେ some ଓଡ଼ିଆ are more ଓଡ଼ିଆ than others. ଆଞ୍ଚଳିକ ଭେଦଭାବ ସମୟ ସମୟରେ ଭିନ୍ନ ରାଜ୍ୟ ଦାବି କରେ. ଆପଣଙ୍କ ମତ?
That is why I said ki it needs immediate attention, because those kind of things may create threat to this Odia identity that I talked about. So instead of doing that, let's treat everyone. Let's say the Malkangiri is as Odisha as Mayurbhanj, and Nuapada is as Odisha as Kendrapada. So everything is Odia, and all are Odia, irrespective of that. That is why I refer to Madhusudan Das. Ki Odia ki hai. So how can we be very happy when the people from Nuapada and Bolangir are going for Dadal and they are suffering a lot, they are being exploited? The Odia can't be satisfied, because this is the Odia identity that binds us. So the suffering of the fellow Odia will certainly disturb the other Odias. So that is why I'm saying ki this kind of thing needs immediate attention and resolution, so that such thing will not happen.
Another question is there from Vishweshwar Mahapatra. Sir, what is your opinion about the demand of opening a High Court bench in Western Odisha? Is it required for further development of neglected part of Odisha, or to solve or to resolve different judicial issues? So this is a very important issue. They have been demanding for a longer time for establishing a.
Yeah, obviously there is no problem. There is no problem. We can go for another High Court. What is the problem? So if people will ultimately access the judicial benefit. So the judiciary will reach out to them. Now it becomes very difficult. For example, if you look at the buses, if you just ask the bus running from Sambalpur or Sundargarh or Jharsuguda or Bolangir to Bhubaneswar, you ask people. So some will be going for the High Court. 4 or 5 seats will be occupied for the people, those who are going for the High Court. Some will be some will be going to study in some educational institutions. Some will be going for 4 or 5 seats will be for some medical treatment. So why not better facilities, better health, better education, better judicial service be created in the nearby region? So it will save their money, it will save their cost, because traveling to Odisha, traveling to Bhubaneswar is a 2 days affair. So there is nothing wrong with that.
Okay, sir. So there is another question from Professor Satyanarayan Acharya. Ebe Odisha भाषा को अत्यंत कदर्य भाव रे गणमाध्यम रे व्यवहार करा जाउछि. अभिभावक माने निज पिला को ओडिया पढ़ाइबा पई इच्छा करूनांती. ओडिशा सरकार भाषा पढ़ाइबा स्थान रे वोकेशनल विषय पढ़ाइबा को व्यवस्था करूछंती. छतु फुटिला भली इंग्रजी माध्यम विद्यालय बढ़ी चलीछि. आपनकर मत?
No, that is the situation. This is what I just said. ମୁଁ ଯୋଉ କହିଲି କି ଓଡ଼ିଆ ଏବେ ଇଂଲିଶଟା ଗୋଟେ ଲାଙ୍ଗୁଏଜ ହେଇକି ରହିନି. ଇଂଲିଶଟା ଗୋଟେ ସ୍କିଲ୍, ଯେମିତି ଇଞ୍ଜିନିୟରିଂ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍କିଲ୍, ମେଡିକାଲ ପାଠ ଗୋଟେ ସ୍କିଲ୍. ଆପଣ ଖାଲି ଇଂଲିଶ କହିକି ଆପଣଙ୍କୁ ଚାକିରି ମିଳିଯିବ? ଆପଣ ଦେଖନ୍ତୁ ଯେତେ ରିସେପସନିଷ୍ଟ ଅଛନ୍ତି, ରିସେପସନିଷ୍ଟ କଣ କରନ୍ତି? ସେମାନେ କିଛି କଥା କହନ୍ତି, and they know better English. So just by they speak English, they get a job. So English is no more a language itself. So and everybody wants a job. आपण काहा को मना करि परिबनी, समस्त को चाकरी दरकार. आउ इंग्लिश टा गोटे लैंग्वेज हे के रहिनी. English has become a skill that can provide you a job. तो से हिसाब रे जदि भी आमे जेम मो निजो एग्जांपल देली कि इवन इफ पेरेंट्स माने निजो छुआ को ओडिया मीडियम स्कूल रे पढ़ाइबा पे चाहू नांती, all those things can happen because of the situation that I said. But it also depends on us कि आमे कौन करि परिबा. इवन इफ तुरंत दिल्ली रे किछि ओडिया ये तरह किछि स्कोप नाही, मो ओडिया पढ़िबो जदि मु जदि भी चाहिली कि ओडिया पढ़िबो मु कौन करि परिबे. It depends on me कि मु तापे वर्णबोध रे आनिबी किछि ओडिया बहि नै कि आसीबी ताको किछि कक कक सिखाइबी. Those things we can still do. और जब मैं कहि से ओडिया मीडियम को जीव देन इट इज नॉट पॉसिबल फॉर मी।
प्रोफेसर सत्यनारायण आचार्य इज आल्सो शोइंग से मध्य कहउछन माध्यमिक विद्यालय रे ओडिया शिक्षक नियुक्ति व्यवस्था नहीं, खेल शिक्षक ओडिया पढ़ाती तामाने स्किल स्किल ओडिया टीचर ओडिया ओडिशा रे बाहर नांती। तेणु सरकार स्किल लाइक जो माने ओडिया रे स्किल सेमान को नियुक्ति देले ओडिशा रो विकास होई परियो बोली सार कहउछंती। महाविद्यालय रे किंबा विश्वविद्यालय रे पढुथिबा छात्र छात्री ओडिया रे आवेदन पत्र टी लिखि पारु नांती। तेणु सार जा कहउछन ठीक कथा। वर्तमान ओडिया रो व्यवहार बहुत निम्नगामी हो जाइए ओडिशा रे। सो हाउ कैन वी एक्चुअली डेवलप, सो दैट नीड्स ए पॉलिसी चेंजेस इन द गवर्नमेंट स्पेक्ट्रम। सर व्हाट इज योर टेक ऑन दिस?
तो मु तो ता विषय बहुत किसी कहलेनी, जस्ट आउ दीटा जिंस कहूची किंतु मझिरे कोन हला हम जेतला संबलपुर यूनिवर्सिटी पढुथली सेतला आई केम टू नो कि हमर जो आईएएस ऑफिसर थिले जो से टॉपर हेतले मु ताको नाडी भूली जो से ओमफेड रो किछि से डायरेक्टर जनरल कोन थिले
ऋषिकेश पंडा मैनेजिंग
ऋषिकेश पंडा। तांको समय से कोन कले कि जेहेतु ओडिया जो एमए करूथले जो एमए करूथवा माने ओडिया रे जो एमए करूथवा छात्र मानकु तांको पे से गुटे किछि गुटे कॉलेज जोथि कि तांको ओमफेड चाकरी मिलला स्पेशल प्रोविजन टू प्रमोट द स्टूडेंट्स दोज हु आर स्टडीिंग ओडिया। अदरवाइज जे ओडिया पढु जेता पय चाकरी रो किछि बहुत ये ना सेटा गुटे प्रमोट करिया पय आ गुटे वेरी रिसेंटली गवर्नमेंट ऑफ ओडिशा रे किछि अछि आपण तार जो इंजीनियरिंग या मेडिकल रे जे ओडिया मीडियम हेतु ताको किछि ता पय किछि गुटे कोटा या रिजर्वेशन किछि गुटे व्यवस्था अछि कि एक्स्ट्रा मार्क किछि ताको मिलिवो। तो ए सब जिंस तो अछि किंतु अल्टीमेट ए इशू रे सत कथा माने टीचर किए पढोछि केमिति स्कूल दीज आर सर्टेन इश्यूज दैट नीड टू बी रिजॉल्व।
प्रोफेसर सत्यानंद आचार्य कहउछंती साखी गोपाल रे ओडिया विश्वविद्यालय प्रतिष्ठा करा जायथिले मध्य ओडिया शिक्षक प्रशिक्षण व्यवस्था होई पारि नै। ओडिशा रे बहुत ओडिया रो विकास पय करा जाउची मगर ताकू कार्यकारी भलो भाबे होई पार नै। व्हाट एसेंशियली ही इज ट्राइंग टू स्पीक दैट इज देयर।
सही प्रॉब्लम तो बहुत दिन लागि रही छी माने मु जेते स्कूल रे पढुथले हम कहबे हमर क्लास 1 रु 7th जायथिला तो 7th क्लास रे 5टा रूम थिला से 5टा रूम मन 2टा रूम एम्प्टी थिबो जोथरे कि 2टा ये क्लास रो छुआ बसिबे। तो दोज प्रॉब्लम्स आर स्टिल देयर। बहुत क्लियरली माने हाउ इट कैन बी डन आई may not be able to say very specifically, but certainly it needs better solution and immediate solution because the language is very important for this identity. Then in this case that I'm saying the Odia identity, so the language is very crucial for that.
Satyarand sir, why don't you switch on camera and speak? Sir, थोड़ा कैमरा लाइक आपण ऑडियो ऑन करी आपण क्वेश्चन पचलेटी भलो हां। नमस्कार सर।
समस्त को नमस्कार। बड़ सुंदर आलोचना हेछि। मो कथा सुनी परुचंती?
हां सुन
आमे भाषा साहित्य रो अध्यापक होइतरो आम मन रे प्रश्न आसुची जे ओडिसा रे वर्तमान ओडिया अस्मिता चित्कार करछन समस्ते। आमे स्वामी विवेकानंद लोक संसद रे संगठित हेचु। आमे कोन करि परिबा ओडिसा रे ओडिया भाषार भविष्यत पई आम संगठन कोन करि परिबो आपण माने सुचिंतित मतामत दियंतु। ये गोटे कथा आउ ये तो सप्तम आलोचना हला सप्तम आलाप हला। मु सब बेले चित्त भाई कहे हमर तो आलाप होची किंतु आमर जो आलाप आमर जो आलोचना ये ओडिशा सरकार को की प्रभाव पकाउची। आमे ऑनलाइन रे कले आज 30 40 की 50 की 100 लोक सुनिले ता घरु गले वक्ता तांकर कहिदरे ता घरु गले एथिरे ओडिसा कोन उपकार हला ओडिसा कोन उपकार हे परिबो ओडिसा सरकार ऊपर की प्रभाव पड़िबो एथि पई हम विवेकानंद लोक संसद कोन करि परिबो बा लिखित आकार रे हम संसद सरकार को किछि प्रस्ताव दे परिबो कि आपण माने जो माने ओडिसा बाहर अछन हम भी मुई भी अछि आंध्र प्रदेश रे तिरुपति सेंट्रल संस्कृत यूनिवर्सिटी अच्छी आम कौन करूँ टे दिग्दर्शन कले भल हाँ नमस्ते
आमर शिव होता सार जमी कहले एमती किसी प्लेटफॉर्म अच्छी कि जो थे आम आमर मतामत किसी कन्वे कर सरकार को बेनिफिट आटा तो निहाती गोटे रिक्वायरमेंट किंतु मुझे कहली आपको कि लीडरशिप इज नॉट ओनली पॉलिटिकल लीडरशिप has to come from all the disciplines. So academic leadership is required. सब प्रकार लीडरशिप दरकार आउ से हिसाब रे कौन करा जाय परिबो दैट मु एका तो एथिरे बहुत किछि कहि परिबिनी but let's discuss how can we reach out to or convey our concern to the appropriate level. Dr. Pavitra and Dr. Gauri and everyone, how can we do that? Let's discuss.
Yes.
Because certainly leadership,
Thank you, sir.
leadership has to come from everyone, every areas for
गौरी
development.
भाई अच्छंती कि गौरी भाई टिके मत देबे आमे जो मासिक आलोचना चक्र करूछु वक्ता आसुचंती बहुत परिश्रम करूचंती सुंदर प्रेजेंटेशन करूचंती हमकु सुनिବାକୁ बहुत भल लागुची किंतु एहा ओडिसार परिवर्तन रे कोन सहायक हबो की प्रभाव पड़िबो आम कथा किए सुनिबो आमे मोबाइल ऑन कले सुनिले नाइ तो मोबाइल ऑन कर देगिरी वीडियो को बंद कर देकी आमे आम घर काम रे व्यस्त रहिले आउ टिके कान आमे डेछु केतला आम नाटा पचार देबे की हमकु डाकी देबे की हम पुणी आसी ऑन कर दउछु ये जो चली व्यवस्था ये व्यवस्था द्वारा ओडिसार कोन वास्तविक परिवर्तन हबो कि आमे किछि करि परिबा कि आमे जो संगठित हेइछे बा आमे आगामी अक्टोबर 2 तारिख रे हमर वार्षिक अधिवेशन करिवार आउर केला रे आम संगठन ओडिसा सरकार को किछि देई परिबो कि प्रस्ताव मु एई मोर जिज्ञासा आमे किछि प्रस्ताव देई परिबो कि लिखित आकार रे
नमस्कार आज्ञा एई जो कथाटी आपण कहउचंती प्रथम जेतेबेले प्रथम हमर संलाप आरंभ होला प्रथम 2-3 संलाप भितरे ए कथा उठिथिला आउ हमर माननीय संगठन मंत्री जी श्योर करथिले जे आमे एटाकू गोटे डॉक्यूमेंटेड फॉर्म रे किंबा ओइला फॉर्म रे ताकू कंपाइल करिकि वी शैल ट्राई आवर बेस्ट टू रीच इट विथ द कॉम्पिटेंट अथॉरिटी इन द गवर्नमेंट तेणु सेटा हमर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन फोरम रे आपण राउरकेला रे कथार्ता करंतु केमति ताकू गोटे बेटर वे